So I started with a sheet of core 10 steel. It's 2.5 mil thick. And cut it, folded, welded it, so that it now is 750 wide there by 400 by 350 deep. Why I picked those dimensions, I don't really know. It's just to sort of fit the space I've got, and I thought it should be big enough for my needs for a charcoal or wood burning barbecue. So this has been sitting outside. As you can see, the steel is beginning to rust, but it is core 10 steel. If you don't know what that is, basically it's that steel you see that rusts on the outside but doesn't really rust in the center, so it lasts a bloody long time, sort of like stainless but rusty. You see it a lot on buildings these days, and they also make shipping containers out of them. Right, so now I am going to drill some holes along the back. That's basically just to get the airflow going in underneath my wood or my coals. Inside here I will run some angle iron, some of this that'll bend up to an angle, and that will have some racks on that the timber will sit on to keep it up, or the coals keep it up off the bottom and allow the air to get underneath to get it really burning hot. So I'll drill those holes now. I am drilling the holes with a tungsten carbide tip hole saw. It's 35 mil. There's no special reason why I'm using that. It's just because I've got it left over from building my aviary. Drilling on the stainless tube for that. You can have a look at my videos on my other channel if you're interested in seeing me build an aviary. I'm drilling the holes 70 mil up from the bottom so that the ash doesn't fall straight out. So the holes will be there, 100 in from each end and 300 in from each end. Yeah, the piece of angle iron I put above it to hold the racks will slightly cover the holes, hopefully, and because the holes are a bit big, and they can cover that and it should be alright. I'm doing 4 holes, hopefully that's enough. I can always add more later if need be. So the holes are drilled, and I've got this that will slide down over the holes when I want to snuff out my fire. I just need some way of holding that on the ends. Now I was going to use this piece of angle that I had bent up out of the core 10, but it's a bit of a waste. I need that. I need a lot more of that than I thought. And so I think I'll use another piece of this gal, and I'll just cut a couple of bits and screw them on the side like that, and that'll hold that piece in place. With these end sports cut, I've now drilled a hole. I'm gonna rivet them with stainless steel rivets. Make sure they're stainless rivets if you're using them with heat. The aluminium ones might just melt right off. And keep a big enough gap. I've got to keep a big enough gap here so that my thing can slide up and down easily. It doesn't need to be super tight, so I'm going to have a bit of play there. Fire going. Second fire. Next I'm cutting the supports for the grills on the top. cutting 2 at 650. So I've now clamped in the pieces I've cut for the top grill supports, and I am going to attach these by drilling some holes, tapping them and putting some screws through the tapped holes. I was going to use bolts with nuts, but I've changed my mind on that. And I'm not all that good at welding and I might want to take these off, so I've gone for the tapping idea, so I'll do that now. I'm putting M6 bolts through to hold it in, M6 thread, so I need to drill a 5mm hole so that I can tap for the 6mm. So this is an M6 by 1mm threaded tap. So with both of those top grill supports in place, and now I need to do the bottom. But I was going to do something similar, but I've decided now. So one idea was to do the same sort of thing, or another idea, just put bolts through and support a rack on that. But I might make the bottom rack out of the Corten steel now and just drill a few holes in it, and I want it different on one side to the other so I can scrape coals and charcoal across from one side to the other. So I think I'm going to use fire bricks in the bottom to support the bottom rack grill thing. Got some fire bricks, and that way I can change the height too easily if I decide I want it higher, lower, whatever, without it being fixed in place. So that's my new plan. So next I'm going to cover the outside in some Fiberlite to help stop the heat transfer between the steel and my timber that's going to be surrounding this barbecue. So I've got some 9mm Fibro offcuts here from another job. I'm going to stick a piece up each end, like so, on the front and the two sides, and then I've got some more bigger sheets to put on the front like that, which will leave a cavity there, sort of air gap, to help dissipate the heat. And then I will have a steel beam running along the front. When cutting fibro, make sure you wear a mask. It's nasty stuff. You can cut it with a knife, special knives and stuff, but I'm going to use an old circular saw, and you can get special fibro cutting blades, but I'm just cutting it with a shitty old blunt wood blade. Does the trick nicely. With all my fibro supports cut, I will now cut the main piece along the front and the two sides. So there's that board cut. I cut it the width of one sheet wider on each end, and this side sheet will then lap over there because it's a nice corner. Cut those and then I can put it together. So I've got the front piece clamped in place. I'm now going to drill some holes through the fibro into the steel and tap some screws through. So that is the Firebox part almost complete, basically complete. What I'm going to do now is add this steel frame all the way around the top of the box and to the width of my finished barbecue table type thing. This is 45 by 45 square tube. It's got a wall thickness of 2 mil, and then I'm attaching Vitex to the front of that all the way around. So basically the way I'm doing this, I'm having a bit of the table bit out the right hand side. It's not going to be sitting on the top there, that's going to be stuck on the front there, and it'll be flush with the top of the box. My lid will all come down and sit on there. This here is going to stick out approximately that far, I haven't measured it yet, and this will just have an area, another piece of steel there. This will just be an area for putting a few drinks and oil bottles in, and then it will stick out further out this side with a bit of a food preparation, well, not, you know, thing, table next to the barbecue. So I've got my first steel support held in place there. I'm going to put a couple of 8mm bolts in there. I'm going to tap them through. This end here, I've got 225 left here because I'm going to have 45 for my piece of steel, and then another 40 for my bit of Vitex edging, then a 140 bit of Vitex with holes in it to hold beer and oil and stuff. And then I'll have a piece of Vitex capping on the end here. And as for this end, I haven't decided exactly how far. I'm going to have to cut off a little bit to fit it on my gap, but I'll stick everything on, work out the widths with the boards and everything based from this end. So this is an 8mm stainless bolt. What's happened to that light? Oh, there we go. Got a spring washer in there just to make sure. The bloody light keeps going on and off. So repeat that there as well, and then I'll do it on the other side. You've got to wear it on your shoulders. That's now I need to cut 4 bits of Vitex, 65 by 42 there. One here, one here, one here, and one at the end. They'll all be the same length, and these ones will be checked out. Right, so about 522, and again 522. I need to take this camera off automatic bloody light, don't I? So I'll cut them now on the drop saw. With the steel framework in place, I can now start thinking about my timber, my Vitex. So at this end I've got a piece there like that. That will of course be sunken down and sitting on top. And there'll be the 140 wide piece, and then capped on the end another piece like so. And on this end I found a old piece of granite that's been laying in the back of the garage from an old kitchen install years ago, and I might see if I can incorporate that. It would be quite cool. Good place to stick hot things, just here. So I just got to work out a way of cutting that. I've cut granite once before, but I can't remember. I think I did it on an old table saw with a diamond blade. I don't really want to do it on my new table saw. So I'll see if I can come up with something for that. This will of course have Vitex running along the front like that, and the bottom will be flush with the steel. The top sticks up about 19mm, which is the same thickness as that piece of Vitex there. And sitting inside that bit there will be a lid on the steel. And I'm making the legs out of this Vitex also. I have those cut, and I might put them on now. My legs are cut, they're 970 long, tall, and I'm now going to give them a sand. So my legs are cut and sanded. I have put a 15mm rebate there. So they will go sit underneath. The steel will sit on top. I've drilled two 10mm holes there. Put in these 10mm stainless bolts. I'm going to tap them directly into the steel. There's my first two posts on, and I've just cut these two to length after working out my granite and timber bench top here. So I'll now add those legs. Now, because I don't want any screws showing on this, because I want it to match my Vitex deck as much as possible, I'm trying to do it all without any visible screws, which is a bit tricky, but anyway. I can't be bothered bolting through into here. I'm just going to glue these in place. This one and this one should hopefully be enough. These ones on the end have been glued and screwed from underneath. This one I screwed from the top and glued. So now I'm just gonna cut my front board, put that in place, and then I can make sure these are exactly touching. So I will measure and cut that now. And with that cut, I'll now clamp it along the front, the steel here, and screw it, and the holes have already pre-drilled. And I will just stick a bit of glue along here. Hopefully that'll help hold that front bit straight. So I don't want any screws going through from the Firebox into my timber to transfer heat directly into the timber. So that's why I haven't put any holes, no screws along there. I decided to use these stainless 75mm 14 gauge batten screws to hold the front boards all the way along with the glue, and I'll worry about whatever bracket I'm going to put there later for my bit of granite. These screws seem to go in quite well. Yeah, the perfect length for what I want. I'm now going to cut some supports to run under here for my piece of granite. And I've got this strange looking piece which I'm going to cut to two 515mm long pieces, screw them to the underside of here, and then I will pack them up with timber probably to get it the right height and a nice soft bed for the granite to sit on. So there's my two pieces of steel that are to go underneath here. Just need to nick out these bits here, and then they can go underneath. I forgot to video cutting it before, but I'm sure you know what cutting looks like. all the cutting of steel I've been doing with this nifty wee tool. It's so much quicker and easier than an angle grinder and leaves a much nicer cut. And often you don't have to grind off burrs or anything. I just cut the top as well, which I also forgot to video, while I was in the mood. So that plate steel will go in that gap there, and that will have probably a piece of fibro and then Vitex on the top. This video is getting a little bit long, so I will finish off the build in part 2. Thanks for watching. Hopefully part 2 won't be too far away.